expansion was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked.
A 30-second television spot was all it took to allegedly...
Half a minute. That's all it took. One 30-second commercial dropped on television and, according to insiders, it sent shockwaves straight through the highest offices in professional basketball, flipping the entire power structure of modern sports media upside down in a single night. For years, the league had a tight grip on everything. The image of its stars, the marketing, the money, all of it moving through one central pipeline, carefully controlled so that no single player could ever grow bigger than the league itself. That system worked for decades. Then Caitlin Clark's stunning new ad hit the airwaves, and that whole illusion cracked wide open, exposing something the front office had been quietly trying to bury. Word quickly spread that Commissioner Adam Silver was furious. Not because the commercial looked bad, it didn't. He was furious because it painted a rookie as something bigger than the league, maybe even more powerful than the league itself. It was a bold move that skipped right past every gatekeeper, sending a loud, unmistakable signal to millions watching that the real center of power in basketball had quietly slipped out of the boardroom and landed directly in the hands of one young superstar. This wasn't just another sneaker deal or a sports drink promo. This was a statement. It laid bare the financial cracks running through the entire sport, and it left executives scrambling to explain how they'd lost control of their biggest asset before her career had even really taken off. But here's the thing. This boardroom explosion didn't happen overnight. The groundwork for this clash was laid long before any camera ever rolled on that commercial set. To really understand why the front office is panicking, you need to rewind and look at the wave of momentum this young star rode the moment she stepped into the pro ranks. She brought a level of cultural pull the league simply wasn't built to handle. No player in the history of the sport had ever single-handedly moved television ratings, sold out road arenas within minutes, and dominated daily sports talk the way she did. She wasn't just a player. She was practically an economic engine rolling into every city on the schedule. Networks scrambled to lock down broadcasting rights. Big global brands skipped the league's official channels entirely and went straight to her team, signing massive, headline-grabbing deals of their own. At first, the league loved it. They rode the wave, counting up the record merchandise sales, the ratings spikes, the sudden explosion in viewership. They thought they'd struck gold, a talented young rookie who'd smile for the cameras, wear the approved gear, pay her dues quietly, while the suits upstairs cashed in and took the credit. Then everything changed. Because her management team had a completely different plan in mind, one that didn't involve waiting in line or asking anyone's permission to build an empire. When that commercial finally aired during prime time, completely blindsiding the league's own PR department, it was a masterclass in branding that left officials scrambling for their lawyers. Instead of the usual look, league uniform, official logos, safe, polished, family-friendly, this spot showed her as a global icon standing entirely outside the basketball world. The visuals were cinematic, sharp, and centered entirely on her, quietly hammering home her value, her cultural weight, and her total independence from the traditional sports machine. It looked less like a rookie ad and more like the launch of her own personal empire, completely bypassing the usual rule that rookies share the spotlight with veterans and league branding. Fans went crazy for it. Social media exploded, breaking down every frame, decoding the wardrobe choices, praising the bold direction that felt more like a high-fashion campaign than a sports commercial. But behind closed doors at league headquarters, things were reportedly far from celebratory. Sources describe a tense, heated atmosphere, with word of an emergency morning meeting where the commissioner's office was reeling over the fact that a rookie had stepped this far outside the lines without ever asking for a green light. And the real issue wasn't just the artistic direction, it was the message hidden underneath it, about pay and true market value. For years, the pay gap between the men's and women's leagues had been a nagging embarrassment for the front office, something they kept papering over with vague talk of future growth and slow-moving negotiations. This one commercial, though, ripped the spotlight right onto that uncomfortable truth, a massive, outside-funded endorsement deal airing in prime time, next to a rookie salary that barely cracked 6 figures. Suddenly the math didn't add up, and it made the league look cheap, outdated, and completely out of touch. The biggest draw in the sport was earning pennies from her own employer while pulling in generational wealth from brands who understood her worth far better than the league did. That was a public relations disaster. It didn't paint the league as champions of women's basketball. It painted them as stingy middlemen trying to profit off a talent they couldn't even afford to properly pay. Which brings us to the commissioner's rumored reaction, a man known for staying calm, measured, and diplomatic in public. But sources say watching one rookie's personal brand completely overshadow the league's own multi-million-dollar marketing machine was the wake-up call nobody in that office wanted. It sparked a furious internal scramble over how to handle a player whose star power had officially outgrown the system built to contain it. Here's why that matters so much. The entire business model of professional sports depends on central control over sponsorships, media narratives, broadcast deals, and how visible players are allowed to be. When one player can drop a commercial that generates more buzz, more headlines, and more conversation in 24 hours than the league's own championship campaign manages in a month, that old balance of power flips completely. Executives reportedly feared this could set off a chain reaction. Future draft classes skipping the traditional system altogether, building their own production companies, their own empires, making the league's marketing department practically irrelevant. It was a full loss of control over the narrative, and PR teams were scrambling to respond without looking petty or, worse, insecure about the very star keeping their ratings alive. But it wasn't just the executives feeling the heat. Locker rooms across the league were buzzing too, and not always in a good way. Veteran players who had spent years grinding through the system, taking the lower-paying deals, playing overseas in the off-season just to make ends meet, respecting the unwritten hierarchy, watched a first-year player land a solo brand deal rivaling the biggest names in sports history. For some, that was a hard pill to swallow. Whispers of resentment started leaking into the press. Anonymous voices hinted that all this attention on one player felt disrespectful to the veterans who'd spent years paving the way. Almost nobody said it publicly, though. No one wanted to face the backlash from her enormous, fiercely loyal fan base. But the tension was there, sitting quietly under the surface of every post-game interview. This commercial had become a lightning rod, exposing generational divides and a shifting economy within the sport, proving that raw talent backed by real corporate power can blow right past the old rules about earning respect over time. The veterans felt left behind, realizing the new game isn't about loyalty or longevity anymore. It's about reach, virality, and leverage. So how is the league trying to put out this fire before it burns down the whole system? Behind the scenes, there's reportedly a full-scale damage control operation underway. Executives are rushing to build new marketing plans that somehow pull her independent brand back under the league's umbrella. There's talk of last-minute negotiations, frantic calls to corporate partners, and a push to feature her more heavily in official league content, all in an effort to look like they're still steering the ship. They're apparently offering compromises, trying to blend her outside sponsors with league ones, trying to patch a hole she blew straight through their business model. But here's the hard truth they're waking up to. The damage is already done. No amount of scrambling, spin, or backroom deals can undo what's already happened. That commercial proved something simple and permanent. A player with enough talent, cultural pull, and public backing doesn't need the league to validate her worth. She already is the validation. And right now, the league needs her far more than she needs the league. This also carries huge weight for the next collective bargaining talks, which insiders say could get ugly because of the precedent this one commercial just set. The players' union is reportedly watching closely, taking notes on exactly how much leverage a star can build with outside corporate backing, and planning to use this moment as leverage for bigger revenue splits, better roster spots, and improved travel conditions. Executives know if they push back too hard, she could simply walk away, build her own brand full-time, even launch something of her own, and take millions of fans with her, leaving the league standing there with nothing. That's the real fear driving the anger inside the commissioner's office. The sudden, uncomfortable realization that they might not be as essential as they thought. The days of executives calling all the shots from a position of total control are fading fast, replaced by a new era where athletes run their own media empires, holding more influence, more reach, and more financial freedom than the owners who used to pull every string from behind the curtain. As the noise from this whole showdown slowly settles, and the commercial keeps racking up hundreds of millions of views across every platform, one big question hangs over the entire future of professional sports. We are watching, in real time, the messy birth of a brand new era, one where the old gatekeepers either adapt fast or get left behind completely. The league might be furious right now, clinging to a system that's made them rich for decades. But one simple truth just got proven to the whole world in 30 seconds. The old rules no longer apply to the truly exceptional. The game has changed, on the court and in the boardroom. And fans everywhere are left wondering just how far this new wave of superstars will push their power, and what the old gatekeepers will do once they finally realize they're no longer running the show. More players are already studying this exact blueprint, realizing real power comes from connecting directly with fans, not waiting on permission from the front office. The entire foundation of sports marketing is about to feel an earthquake unlike anything it's seen before. And that's still not the whole story, because the ripple effects go far beyond this one commercial. High school stars and college standouts just starting their journeys are watching this masterclass in leverage and rethinking everything about their own path forward. They're throwing out the old advice to just wait their turn quietly. Instead, they're hiring brand managers and digital strategists before they even sign with a traditional agent, knowing that a strong personal audience is the best protection against a small rookie contract and restrictive league rules. Power has shifted to the athletes who command attention, and this commercial was the loud, unmistakable starting gun for that shift. The tension inside the league offices isn't just about one player anymore. It's a much bigger fear, a future where the league is just the stage, not the star of the show. The commissioner's frustration isn't only about losing control of one news cycle. It's the slow, painful realization that the whole system built to keep players controlled and costs low has been cracked wide open by one athlete who simply refused to play by the old rules. And instead of backing down, her team reportedly doubled down, quietly locking in even more independent deals, cementing her status as a brand of her own. It was a bold, almost fearless move that sent one very clear message to the league. The old way of doing business is over. If you want to stay relevant, you have to rebuild the entire structure around the giants of this new era. In the end, this 30-second ad did more than sell a product or build a brand. It held up a mirror to a sports economy full of outdated assumptions, forcing everyone to face a truth they'd been avoiding for years. The league's frustration is really just the loud, public sound of an old monopoly finally cracking under the weight of one athlete's undeniable power. So here's the real question. Are you watching closely enough to see where this goes next? Because this is only the beginning. If you don't want to miss the next power move, the next shakeup, and the next star who breaks the system, make sure you stay locked in, hit that follow button, and turn on notifications right now. Because this story is far from over, and you don't want to be the last one to find out what happens next.